Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Literary Hour on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Today, I'm sitting in for scholar Jackie Sayegh, who is enjoying a well-deserved vacation. And I'm here with Professor K. Moses Nagbe, Prof. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, DJ. Me too. I'm glad to be here, especially this being the last Friday. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
The last Friday in the year 2022. Just as Brother Josh said, Jackie is out of town, and we hope that she is doing well on her travels. Today, we first want to say happy holidays. We hope you are having a fine time. And if at some point you aren't, we hope that things will get better for you. Just as the banner indicated, we are here to talk a little about some of the features of informed citizens. We thought to bring this as the last session for the year, because when we enter 2023, there's going to be a lot of jostling out there. There's going to be a lot of conversation out there. There's going to be a lot of dialoguing out there. And one of the important things we want to keep in mind as we work our way through is the question of being that citizen that the country can depend on. And to be able to do that, to be able to be someone that the country can depend on, we just thought to throw a few lessons in your way. Not that you don't know enough to be able to navigate your own way out there, but at least if we throw one or two things along with what you have, we hope that you will be able to brace yourselves for the many months that are ahead of us. The 12 months, in fact, the 11 months, or even the 10 months that you are supposed to be preparing for the big event, which is national elections for 2024, you should be able to be armed. So how we're going to go about it is that we are going to look at a few things about what makes up an informed citizen, and then we find out ways in which we can achieve that. So we begin to look at the whole concept of being an informed citizen. You see, one of the things that makes us what we are as human beings is this whole idea of curiosity. This whole idea of curiosity. If you lack curiosity, then it is sad what might happen to your life. So in the context of curiosity, we want you to be aware of even your personal life. What is going on around your immediate self? What is going on within you? What is going on in the life of neighbors, friends, and even fellow country folk. So to be an informed citizen or to be an informed individual, you want to know what is going on in your life. You want to know what is going on in your community. You want to know what is going on in your country. There are some of us who tend to know more about what is happening in other countries than our own country. So you want to first begin by seeking to know what goes on in your country, and then you can transport the excitement of wanting to know things to other people.
Thank you, Prof. And that's why I'm excited, even though Jackie's shoe is too big to fill, but I'm excited to be here. And
Yeah.
our topic today, just as Prof has said, is the making of informed citizens. And as he correctly stated, going into 2023, we have been here for 12 months
Yeah.
of the literary hour. So going into 2023, Jackie and Prof at the literary hour thought that we should end with this exclamation point: the making of informed citizens. So since I'm here, I want to Prof. I want to take us back a little bit, because
Yeah.
I am, I'm always faced with these questions as well, and I start to wonder. Remember, a few days ago, I sent you a list of questions that were in my mind concerning uh, the ethnic group. So let's come back. I know I want to give you a little background here. The making of an informed citizen. And two things strike me in that title: an informed citizen, and that an informed citizen can be made. Those are two things that I want you to throw a little light before we go. Who is an informed citizen?
An informed citizen is one who builds the culture of wanting to know. Build the culture of wanting to know. There are some people who do not take interest in what is going on around them. The first thing, you ask them and they're saying, I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
I don't care what is happening. Who wants to even hear my view? Such questions are supposed to be eliminated in the minds and the voices of people who are supposed to be informed citizens. They are supposed to be people who, in a sense, take charge of information.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much important in that process.
And the title also said the making. This
Yeah.
tells me that an informed citizen can be made. Is that
Yes.
so?
It's very much true because something has to create the excitement. Something has to create the need to want to know. So the making of an informed citizen comes with the idea of creating the opportunities that will spark interest in people wanting to know what's going on around them. I'll give you an example. Before the 1970s, even though once in a while you will hear someone saying something, the intensity came along with events of the 1970s. Prior to that, it was much of leave the people's thing alone. We don't want to be bothered and all that kind of a thing. But as the epoch of the 1970s came, minds were open, people were excited and wanted to know what was going on around them. Such incidents, not to say that you want to create havoc all the time or stir up confusion, what have you. But people have got to know what is happening around them, what is happening in their own country, why certain things may not be happening the way other people expect them to happen, who may be responsible or what may be responsible, and what can be done to kind of stir up people to want to articulate their views. And then coming to where we are now, as far as social media is concerned, it has all exploded. Social media has been driving the process of people wanting to know as well.
When I entered the University of Liberia, I used to hear that when the students are under the palaver hall speaking, they say, "Both
Yes.
that brother is informed."
Yes.
So that brother is informed. So,
Yes.
and I'm here. Tell me if there's a difference between this or mere regurgitation of facts and being informed. What's the difference? Can a person be educated and not informed? Can a person be exposed and not informed? Are there differences?
The thing about it is that being informed is not just absorbing facts or absorbing information. It's being able to understand the information, being able to interpret it or get someone to help interpret the information for you, because information without being used is of no use at all. So to say that you are simply going to regurgitate information, that is not enough. And when we get to the second phase of our discussion in here, we are going to talk about some of the questions that you need to raise whenever you have questions. One of the things I'm doing a book, one of the things I'm saying about information is to simply get information for the sake of getting that is not enough. You must be able to know the sources of the information, including who is giving you the information, including what is the intention of that person who is giving you the information, and also what you are going to do with the information, not only for your own help, but also for the help of other people. So a lot of these questions you have to ask in terms of talking about a person who is an informed citizen or something of that sort.
And why do we need to have this informed citizenry, or why is
Okay,
that important?
one of the important things about education is to have citizens that understand issues, citizens that can contribute to conversations and what have you. So if you are an informed person, if you are an informed citizen, you are well educated enough to be able to contribute to where some conversation, national conversation, is leading. You cannot sit in the background or you cannot keep silent and believe that some other person is going to provide the ideas. You must be able to keep the activeness of the conversation going, so that in that process, some important ideas will come out and be able to help the nation go forward. So being an informed person means you are educated to a lot of things. And by education here, I drag my feet to call it Western type education as it relates to understanding your environment, education as it relates to understanding your health needs as a result of understanding your food needs, and so many things can come into the picture. So to be an informed person, you understand issues, you can articulate issues or contribute to certain aspects of the conversation so that in the end, the nation can gather the lot of ideas that are needed to press forward.
Problem. Ask you the last question, and then I will let you flow. Right.
Yes.
So my question here is: should this information or being an informed citizen should it be in a particular subject matter? Should it
No,
be?
First of all, when we talk about informed citizenry, we have in mind the whole idea of a general makeup of information as it comes in. So you can gather general information, and depending on your own interest, you can then it kind of follow a specific path. So generally, it is not about a specific field of discipline. It has to do with just being able to take interest in information as it flows in a variety of areas. And then after some time, you can pay attention to specific aspects of the information. You see, information by itself may not mean anything, but what you do with the information,
Yeah.
that is the knowledge brand that can help people out as you go along.
That's a profound statement, Prof. So give me an example. You say it is not the information that you take in.
Yes.
It is not merely absorbing the information, but what you do with it.
What you do with it. For instance, there might be health information. There might be information related to finances.
Yeah.
There might be information related to, did I say agriculture?
Mm-hmm.
There might be information related to even civic education. All these things are very much important. And when you get the information, for instance, in we are talking about in a few months' time, we'll be talking about voting and what have you. If they tell you you should vote and what have you, what do you do with that information? Do you share it with other people? And do you also get to the point of talking about the types of candidates that are supposed to be running? What do you look for in candidates to be able to identify them as those to be voted for? All these things are things that you look at, facets of the information you look at, and what you do with that information will kind of make a difference when it comes to voting.
And Prof, because I'm so familiar with the politics of Liberia, when you talk about election, the
Yes.
picture that came to me
Yes.
is you can be in the midst, of the politics and still not be informed. Because I see that let's say you say taking in the information, what you do with it.
Yes.
So if you take the information of all the candidates, you are able to analyze it, synthesize it, and make an informed decision.
Yes.
So how come someone would be in this situation? Their mind is made up on just one candidate, so they don't care about any other thing. Is that person informed?
Now the thing about it is that this is where the trading of information, the trading of information becomes very much. This is where conversation becomes very much important. So that even though someone might say that my mind is made up, there is a possibility through long conversations and what have you. There is a possibility of even radio dialogues and other kind of a thing. There can be dissuading or persuading of someone along a particular line. So yes, it is even right here in the States. There are people who tell you my mind is made up and what have you. But when examples are put forth and all that, it is possible that you can create a dent in the belief pattern, the thoughts about whatever the individual wanted to pursue. So conversation, information sparks conversation. Information sparks dialogue. So many things can come into the picture and can sometimes change people around as far as making profound decisions are concerned.
There's something in Labrador we say to know, you to know.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a downside being informed?
If there's a downside,
Yeah.
it's negligible. The downside is negligible because if you are well informed, nobody can play gimmicks with you. Nobody can easily manipulate you because you tend to ask the right questions that are going to stir some thinking in other people. So it's always, the short of the long is that it's always important to seek to be a lot more informed. But like I said, just taking in the information is not enough. Absorbing the information is not enough. You must not be sponge. You must not be sponge. You must be someone who gives and takes, and that cycle is going to kind of bring in a renewal of the type of thinking that's going to provide the set of decisions that will make a difference.
Thank you, Prof. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is the Literary Hour. We are with Professor K. Moses Nagbe, and he is making the presentation. Prof, here are all the questions I asked, and let me put them on the screen. Maybe during your presentation, you will answer them. But these are the questions I came with. When I saw the topic, I said, who is an informed citizen? What makes up an informed citizenry?
Yeah.
This whole idea of having an informed citizen, how can it be cultivated and enhanced? If we reach it, how do we maintain that point? What does it mean to be an informed citizen? What are the benefits of having informed citizens?
And there is a question in there that is very much, and that is one of the principal goals of our session tonight, which has to do how, if we acquire that, how do we sustain it?
Yeah.
If we acquire that, how do we sustain it?
And what are the challenges we will encounter in this process?
In whatever setting that has to do with information sharing, there's always going to be pushbacks here and there. And sometimes the pushbacks are not intended for mischievous reasons. Sometimes people want to know a little more. Yeah. So one has to be very much sure of what he or she is talking about. If you aren't very sure of what you're talking about and you see yourself as a spokesperson, it will not take too long when frustration will put you in a silent corner. So to be able to send out information, to be able to share information, you should be able to invest some time into making sure you ask the right questions that will help you make you well-grounded in articulating whatever information you have. We're talking about the growth of the expansion of social media. Social media, I think, is going to lead the way in establishing the whole concept of informed citizens. The only thing is that those who are possessors of social media, like some of the platforms we are talking about here, they have to be strong in terms of ensuring that they keep up the pace so that the energy not being diminished is going to help a lot of people out to be able to take interest, to become very much excited in wanting to get information as they go. Now, I have to talk about the fact that, hey, this comes with the need for support and what have you. That has to be something that people have to also take into consideration. How do we invest? How do we invest in? How do we invest in the sustaining of these platforms? Because if the platforms are not sustained, obviously, by the time we know what is happening, the whole thing is going to collapse. We are talking about the elections. Probably after the elections, when we find who wins or who loses, then people might kind of fold up their bags and move out. But this has to be a vocation. This has to be something that we invest in, because that will be our contribution. That will be our contribution to the welfare of society. Because if a society is well informed, the welfare increases a lot.
Thank you. So, Prof, let me let you go into a presentation.
Well, as we say, I guess we are interacting here, and that is
Okay.
for me that's wonderful. Because we talked about who is an informed citizen,
Right.
and we are saying someone who has cultivated interest in acquiring information, and not only acquiring the information, but being able to put the information to use. If putting it to use means, for instance, letting others know what is happening around them, that is fine. If others want to make sure that they say, if you don't have this information, then it means that you are in the dark. Therefore, they have to create the opportunities for the information to be a kind of spread out. That will be fine. But there has to be a way of having people share information about climate change, information about the environment, information about food production, information about health. All these things are very much important. So if we should go back to the question you asked regarding do you have to take specific interest in one phase of information sharing, I'm saying the better thing to do first is make sure to get as much general information as you get. We're talking about environment. Uh, what happens if all around certain places, even around children, what happens if there is garbage all around? How does that link to health? How does that link to security? All these things must be linked in such a way that somebody who gets that information will be able to diversify the sharing of the information. Uh, you get to a point where in other towns or in other countries, the citizens are raging. There are conflicts here and there. Sometimes you want to know how these people manage to resolve the conflicts.
Yeah.
Sure, the sharing of the experiences, creating solidarity, and all that kind of thing will somehow help make your own region of the world a good place to be. So if something is happening in Sierra Leone, if something is happening in La Côte d'Ivoire, if something is happening in Guinea, if something is happening in Nigeria, what sparked that particular thing? What sparked it? Who were the main actors? Have they resolved the conflict?
Yeah.
How did they resolve the conflicts? Sometimes it gets to the point where you look at what's happening in other countries and say, well, we don't want to be part of that. We can't be part of it. And that is part, for instance, that is part of what the war taught us. And sadly, that is why any leader, whether in Liberia, any leader who will want to take advantage of the fact that people do not want to engage in war, therefore they will be what? Manipulated and what have you. That
Right.
person is doing a very sad thing to himself and to the country, because they get to a point and people say, well, like we say in Liberia, because my grandmother is dead, I cannot suck what bamboo tete. That is an important expression, which means it gets to a point where we cannot take it anymore. And human beings are dynamic.
Yeah.
One time they'll say they will not do a particular thing, but if you keep pushing them to an extent, they are going to fight back. And that is why people have got to be very careful what they are doing. That is why they have to take information and use it very well so that there will be peace and tranquility in a particular country or in a particular region.
So, Pro, in this process of having an informed citizen, who job it is to make this informed citizen?
It is spread out. One, you have the media houses doing that. You have the media houses doing that. That is why the media houses are very important in spreading the word. You have schools. You have worship centers. That is why these few days I am reading or I'm hearing that some churches are raining curses on people who want to make a difference. If you are someone who is a God-fearing person and you engage in a kind of manipulative type of God business, then there's a problem. Somebody who is saying something because that person is not saying something that works well with the person you are supporting, you want to ring curses on that person. And that is not healthy in a society. I think to a large extent, worship centers, those who worship God, those who worship Allah, they should be able to kind of bring people together, use the information they get, and try as much as possible to have people think soberly than to create divisions by raining curses here and there. So I talk about the media, I talk about schools, I talk about worship centers, be that Islam or be that Christian centers. And then two, the other aspect is that people who are educated need to create thinking and talking groups. I know we talk about Atai, Sharp, and what have you, but there can be other things to come. But we'll get to this other part, which is the making of this. So let's first look at this whole idea of what an informed citizen should focus on and how that focus can help redeem the society.
On the flip side,
Yes.
what happens if we don't have an informed citizen, or we don't have informed citizens?
If we don't have informed citizenry, then it is a dark time for us. Then it is a dark time for us, because if citizens do not take interest in wanting information that will help them contribute very well to national crisis, to national conflicts and what have you, then those who may see themselves at the top and yet have indecent minds will continue to manipulate the citizens. And in manipulating the citizens, they will take them down the wrong path, and the society will continue to remain restless. It will continue to be chaotic, and that can be a serious source of trouble. Sometimes we say that we've been through war and we are war fatigued and what have you, but that, as I said earlier, is a wrong statement. That's a wrong way of thinking. So the best we want to do is make sure that we have the type of citizens that are going to be excited about information and use that information very well. Using it very well means doing all you can to keep our society a little sound, so that infighting here and there will be diminished. And that is what a normal society will want.
Right.
Keep chaos, keep restlessness at a low range than creating a society that is always all in arms for destruction of one another.
And sometimes there are people who benefit when the society is not informed. Like if I think back to our war years,
Yeah.
you want to have a society that you can program and tell them, how good you are and how everybody should follow you. Even politicians running campaign, some of them want to keep the society or the citizenry uninformed so that they can tell you, if I give you bag of rice, you vote for me, or has your lawmaker, even though this is not your function, they will tell you, if you elect me, I'm going to build your school, I'm going to build your bridge, I'm going to do XYZ. And people benefit from an ill-informed society, even
Yeah.
though that's sad.
And making that point is very important because uh, the coming of the elections is the peddling of hope. The peddling of hope. Hope. This person is going to bring in schools. Hope. This person is going to bring in jobs and what have you. If you are an informed citizen, you will ask the promises that you are making. How do you hope to materialize them?
Yeah.
You are giving us the loads and loads of dreams and what have you. Please tell us in concrete terms how you are going to bring all the promises you have, you are going to bring them about. And that is why it is very much important. If you are informed, yes, indeed, you will ask the mind searching questions that will keep the candidates on their toes so that they do not manipulate you. Because in the end, we'll come back to square one where things that were promised are not delivered and you are still in the state of desperation.
Uh, there's a comment here from Jimmy Eastman. He said, I strongly believe part of government responsibility is to systematically equip young people with the knowledge, skills, and habits they need for effective citizenship.
Yeah.
Failure to do as much leads to what Liberia is today.
The brother is making a point that needs a bit of scrutiny. If you have people in government who are set in their ways to keep people in the dark, you don't. I am not. I'm not a kind of rejecting his point. All I'm saying is that there has to be multiple ways. There has to be multiple ways in getting information out to young people. Yes, governments the world over are expected to be at the forefront. But if you have either they have the resources and they want to use them for other things other than preparing young people to have the knowledge and skills and what have you, there should be ways in which these young people can acquire the skills. In other words, let us not look at one path. We should make it multiple paths so that young people, as well as old people, will be able to acquire the information needed that they will turn into knowledge and be able to be part of a functioning society.
So let's go to the making of this citizen. And I like what you put here.
Okay.
How do you explain this?
So then you can bring the other slide. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, what's
Okay.
going on? You say the making.
Now, in other words, it is the first part was uh, who or what makes someone an informed citizen. That's what we had.
Right.
Here, we are talking about what goes into the making.
Right.
We talk about what goes into the making. And the first has to be, which is the next slide now, the next slide. The next slide. Okay. Now, we have four of them over there. Be the what's going on person. Be the what's going on person. It's like You are in the room, you hear sounds out and what have you. You come out, you aren't going to keep your mouth closed. You are going to ask the question, what's going on? If you look at certain activities that are suspicious, you've got to ask the question, what's going on? It is not enough to come out and close your mouth. So the making of an informed citizen should have a component of getting the person to be able to deal with the question of what's going on. Who is doing what? What is doing what? What is the impact of what is going on? All those questions people should be made to ask. And in asking those questions, obviously, if one person cannot give you the answer, you should be motivated enough. You should have the cultivated set of questions to be able to go out there. So you have to be the what's going on person. So it gets to the point of, yes, you know what's going on. And the next question should be, why is that so?
Yeah.
Why is that so? Is it something about people not being able to meet certain expectations and what have you? Whether it is in the schools are not teaching their students very well, they are not doing well in school. The question is, why is that going on? One of the things I want to comment on in that process is that of I understand government continues to pay people's WIEC fees.
Yeah.
Now this is ad hoc. This is an ad hoc. Type of activity. What has government created, or has government created an institutional program, an institutional policy, so that, for instance, even if we are left, the fees will be paid?
Yeah.
So many things are happening. So if you pave one or two little streets in a place there and you say that's development, if we are leaves tomorrow, can that be sustained? So all these things become part and parcel of the process of, yes, what's going on? Why is it going on? What is the impact? Who is handling it? So if we build development around individuals and not institutions,
Yeah.
then that is not a good way of development. That is not a good way of development. And an informed citizen should be able to ask those questions. Today, for instance, at the University of Liberia, they talk about free college tuition.
Yeah.
My thing is, how can you talk about free college tuition when there aren't subventions, when there isn't a huge support to cover the hole that students who are not paying could have been paying small thing to get it going? We cannot get into, in making formica beds, formica sheets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Formica sheets, uh, the shiny sheets that you
Yeah.
put on rough planks, and when you see them, you say, "Wow, this furniture is good." But pull that sheet off, and what you see is ugly what? Ugly
Ooh.
planks and what have you. We cannot engage in development like that. And somebody must be able to raise those questions. If you have ad hoc way of development, that is not development. There has to be policies, there has to be programs, there has to be projects that get to the point of being self-sustained.
Right.
And if you have such a way of development, I think it can get into a better way. It can go along a better path than, of course, the ad hoc way of doing development and calling it development. We talk about solar energy and what have you. Uh, to what extent can these things be sustained? We are talking about what's happening and why is it happening. We should be able to ask those questions, and if you can do that, then definitely you are along the path of being an informed citizen. So we take the next one.
And if we get to this path of being an informed citizen, how do we stay there?
It's like one of the ways I like to look at it is if you have a child going to school,
Yeah.
if you have a child going to school, you are teaching the child how to read and write and what have you. There has to be after school programs.
Okay.
There has to be after school programs to sustain whatever the child did learn in the classroom. That should be true as informed citizenship is concerned. It must not be a one-shot deal. There has to be uh, talking point groups. In other words, there has to be discussion groups. There has to be, again, the media. You people are not out of it.
Yeah.
The media is not out of it. It has to always provide, it has to ebb and flow, making sure that this whole idea of being an informed citizen is not a one-shot deal. It has to be a way of life. It has to be a way of life. If you working in the United States or working in developed countries, almost every day there is some program going on. That program may be the discussion of a book. That program may be the presentation by a writer or an author or something of that sort. There's got to be a plurality of these activities. In other words, the society has got to keep on their goal. There has to be a plethora of activities going on. So you're talking about how do you sustain that? People have to mobilize. People have to mobilize. Um, you can talk about even evangelism. Why do people go from home to home? Why do people like the Jehovah Witnesses, why do they go from place to place? They continue to carry on the mission of propagating the word of God and what have you. Our business is to propagate the word that citizens have to be informed about managing their finances. Citizens have to be informed about taking care of their health. You get, if you were to go around some, what is it, nice spots.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, from 4 o'clock, people begin to pour in nice spots and what have you.
Yeah.
But can you have people talk about it? Is not preaching at them, but let's talk about uh, drinking of beer and all that, what it does to the health and what have you. Yes, once in a while you can take a pint, but to just invest in it so much that as soon as it's 3 o'clock, my man, let's go to our spot. 4 o'clock, my man, let's go to our spot. And virtually every day, 7 days a week, you are at a drinking table. You're saying that you are enjoying. A pastor does not have to get on the pulpit to preach to you. Some other person does not have to get up there to preach to you. But you must be able to understand that too much of liquor affects your health.
Yeah.
Can we talk about those things? That's part of the informed citizens. You someone sends you some money, some $100 and what have you. You want to stand on the same spot and blow up the $100 so that you will come back tomorrow again and say, oh man, that lady you send me a finish. You can't send some. You cannot do that. You must not do that. All these things are part and parcel of being an informed citizen. Your health, your finances,
finances,
your relationships with other people, all
right?
these things
Your
there should
environment.
be the environment. Your environment. Can you imagine that you have a house, and even if you are renting in there, you have a huge dune of garbage, and every time you pass by it to go in your place there, is it not possible to mobilize young people, other young people, to help in the process of either digging a hole, a huge pit at that, and bury some of those things there? Because if the garbage keeps around, you're going to find out that flies and all those things are going to leave from there and enter the home. That's part of why typhoid fever can also easily leave this place there.
Yeah.
Roaches, rats, and all those. People think that it's sometimes people think that it's witch, but we are not taking care of all those things, and that's part of creating an environment where citizens are informed. You get the information, and what do you do with it? You should be able to share the information.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you. So,
Go ahead.
yeah, it's very important. Anything else you want to share about being an informed or the making of informed citizenry before we close?
You know, when I was growing up, our fathers, being the few in the community that were educated, it was almost like compulsion for them by 5 o'clock to get up and tune into BBC,
Yeah.
tune into VOA, and if very important events were relayed to them, those went to the classrooms. We used to have it, they call it current events,
Yeah.
and they will talk about current events and what have you. So there has to be a compulsion, there has to be a way of making sure that people are excited to want to acquire information and share the information. A society in which people get to a point of becoming excited to absorb information and share that information, that will be the beginning of something very much important in the life of the people, in terms of being able to hold conversation, in terms of being able to share ideas, new ideas that should get the community and the country going very well.
This is very, very much needed as we go into 2023. Because so my last question to you is, and I don't want to say make judgment here, but looking at Liberia, we have just completed 12 months and we are going to 2023. Where are we based on your own experience, where are we when it comes to being an informed citizenry?
Given what's been happening in our country, the right questions are not sometimes asked and what have you. I think it's less than halfway mark.
Okay.
We are at less than halfway mark. In terms of, for instance, those who these days are either showing themselves or are being shown to be folk heroes, voices of the people and what have you. The kinds of things they say and the kinds of clapping they get really tell me that we are not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
That we are not there yet. There is much manipulation out there. There's much mischief going on over there. And until we make a roundabout to begin posing questions that will keep those who want to be candidates or who are candidates, to keep them on their toes, we will not be able to make the difference that we need to make. And I should say that, well, is it something to frustrate us? I would say no. You know, the war, and someone will say, well, we've left the path of war for a very long time. But the war has created a serious trauma
Yeah.
that people are not prepared to break away from. The little social evils and what have you are still there in terms of wanting to have something to eat for the now and don't care what decisions you make that might affect you in the future. We have to keep working hard. And I know our brother said something about government. Yes, government might come into the picture, but as I pointed out, a government that wants to, and I think you did comment on that too, a government that wants to keep people subdued, a government that wants to keep people confused and what have you, will not provide programs, will not create projects to spark the need for decent information sharing. We have to find other means, and part of the means has got to be the media.
Thank you, Prof. Let me just throw in one example here about informed citizens. Yesterday,
Yes.
our Focus on Labrador reporter was at Bekube Avenue in Dole community.
They have Begugbe Avenue now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I need to show that to you.
Okay.
So there's a Bekube Avenue in Dole community. That's a road just being built. Let me show that to you.
I have dedicated this road to the people of this community in 2018, December 24. And so the road is still in that very good condition. As you can see, still looks very good. Nice asphalt pavement. And so this has brought some huge relief for the people of Dole community and Flower Town.
So, Prof, as they were showing, the Bekube Avenue is fairly new. On the side of the road, you see the trash,
Yeah.
and as they move in there, you see the trash, and it's like the people are not even aware
Okay.
that this is trash here,
Okay.
that this needs to be moved. So, and I was trying to text the reporter to say, I want to give $20 for anybody who will just sweep that side, even if it is for just quarter of a mile, so that I will show citizens that this is your responsibility.
And the point also is that, do these people have a community association or community authority? Do they have? And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Informed citizens. The pieces of sheets that are flying here and there, though at that point they may not lead to health, but over time, who knows what other trash will be added? Is if the first layer of trash goes on and nobody is talking about it, who knows what's going to happen in matter of months?
Yeah.
So if you have community, I thought they used to have community welfare group. Do those things exist?
I don't know.
Yes. So what I will suggest is that, well, if you want to do that, but I would first want to make sure to have people raise that issue without even a point of motivation. Raise that issue. You are always walking up and down this place. Do you see the trash that is being made here? Do you know what it amounts to at another time or what have you? Those questions probably are very much important because, and that's one of the reasons why I like Theo Williams. Every now and then he brings up an issue. So
Yes.
that could be one of the issues that he could raise.
Thank you.
And he could raise and let people debate that. Every time, yes, government should come in and what have you. But my thing is, as informed citizens, you should be able to spark action.
Right.
You should be able to spark a particular movement.
Yeah.
And that is
Even
what
if
I'm
that is
talking
me or getting the appropriate authorities involved.
about. Huh?
I say if that action would mean even getting the appropriate authority involved to say, hey, look at this.
Yeah, look at this. I'm sure they should have some community chair in that place there.
Right.
What is that chair doing? To not do anything is not being informed.
Right.
You see?
And to not even know that this is a problem is also
Okay.
not being informed.
Yes. You see, the platform we have here and the platform in the country itself, how many of the radio programs are devoted to raising issues that are supposed to be dealt with? Raising issues, except of course, are you for this man? No, I'm not for this man, I'm for the other man. Why are you for him? Because he stole and other stuff. That's all. I hope I'm misrepresenting them. I hope they have programs that cater to raising issues that are supposed to draw the attention of citizens in the country. Instead of, there's nothing wrong with talking about politics, because actually politics has to do with the trading of information so that power and authority are shared in such a way and have impact on the livelihood of society. So yes, there's something about politics, but politics that has to do with this person and that other person fighting and what have you, I don't think that's all to politics. And until people are willing to understand that politics is more than that, then definitely we are still at the losing end.
Thank you, Prof. I think it's been a very, very fruitful and wonderful discussion. Let me get your closing and then we can draw down the curtains.
Okay. All along this year, whether it's a bit of history or a bit of literature, we have always said that it is important to ask questions. It is important for you to be a critical thinker. And that is part of what we are ending with, ending 2022 with. The idea that you need to ask questions. Asking questions may not be enough, but ask the questions, get the answers, and hopefully run with the answers in terms of getting as many people as possible involved. It is the questions we ask, it is the answers we get, it is what we do with the answers that will make us informed citizens. As we go into 2023, we hope that we will step up a bit of our critical thinking and through that make Liberia a better place.
Thank you, Prof. And want to wish our viewers happy New Year. Thank you for the joining with us.
Yes, thank you.
On that note, we close our broadcast with the song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night and God bless you.
Thank you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people.